You're going to install a radio here in the Camry. You want to be careful taking these bezels off. They're very fragile. The owner said that his wife put this radio in this car 10 years ago, I think is what he said. Maybe a little bit longer. It's done fine. It's just now to the point that it's just started changing channels on its own. I guess where it's migrating. Checking out the harness here. This is actually a really good quality install kit. Shows the difference of how they made them back then versus how they make them now. It's crazy. But in this picture, I'm just clipping off the radio side. It's funny, that radio is so cheap it doesn't even have a plug-in connector. It's got the wires coming out the back. Got this install kit here from Walmart. You know, seeing how I'm going from a single DIN to a double DIN. Lots of pieces. It's actually crazy. After looking through it, because this is such an adaptable piece and the parts, you know, seem kind of flimsy, I actually decided to go back and go with the ones that were on the original radio. My new radio accommodated the old brackets, so everything was a-okay as far as that's concerned. Here's the radio. It's just a dual Walmart brand. I think it was $70 if I'm not mistaken at Walmart. It is touchscreen. It's got backup camera. If you want to put one on it, you can do, you know, a stereo, amp, subwoofer, all that good stuff. You need to pay attention to these because it's got 2 or 3 screws on the outside of this radio with stickers on them say to remove before install. I think a lot of that has to do with the CD tray. Keeps the laser from bouncing back and forth. Nowadays they put labels on all these harnesses on each wire. Back in the day they used to actually stamp the individual wires with what they, you know, what each one was. Going through right here, just checking at all the wires, be sure everything matches up. It's all pretty common, you know, red is ignition, yellow is battery, black is ground in most cases. You've got the pairs, purple, green, white, and gray, that's your speaker. Sorry about the camera being a little off center. I didn't anticipate having to see in my lap. I'm actually doing a weird kind of twist with these wires, putting this harness together and then putting heat shrink over it to keep them together. Typically I solder, or in a worst case scenario use the crimp style butt connectors, but I'm not going to. I don't think this radio is going to be permanent. I just want to get it together just to get me something while I'm driving it. Eventually when I pull all this back apart and run the stereo, which I do plan on doing, I will, you know, solder everything correctly. This whole install, start to finish, took like 40 minutes and 38 seconds. I think is what the video length was on it. You know, obviously it's sped up here, but I did do a straight record. A couple extra wires coming off that radio. You've got one for illuminate, which I'm pretty sure is one of the orange wires that weren't used, but I didn't feel like getting the meter out to test it to see which one. I can hook that up at a later time. The radio signal and the amp signal, I actually crimped them, put a piece of heat shrink over and pinched them. You've also got a wire for brake. I always just twist that and put it to ground. A lot of that has to do with DVDs or playing videos. I don't ever mess with it. There's also another switch in there for reverse. This car's got a reverse switch that's out on it, and that little sucker's like $60. But so it wouldn't work anyway. I just folded that and tucked it back in. Not using that either. These functions I may go back at a later time and install. It's just so easy to get them apart. You know, it's no big deal. Twisting wires. Getting towards the end of making this harness. I'm heat shrinking these and sealing them up. Power antenna was the other blue wire I didn't use. This thing has power antenna, but it doesn't work. The motor's burnt out on it. On a side note, I did find out that the cup holder will hold a large Coke from McDonald's. That's pretty exhilarating. Plug it in here and, oh, pardon me for the yawn. Kind of a rainy, gloomy day around here. It's making me tired. Just testing some of the functions right here to be sure this thing would be complete garbage. Touchscreen actually works really well on it. Quality of the buttons and stuff feel good too. The knob kind of feels a little bit janky, but not too bad. This has Bluetooth, which I haven't gone to hook up yet or sync with. I'm curious to see how that does. It doesn't have a separate mic like you run. It's actually got a little dot on the front of the radio. Actually, looking in the manual here, or install instructions, I guess it is, there's like a 3.5 millimeter jack coming off the back of this harness. It says SW. I was curious what that was. It's for steering wheel controls, is what it is, which obviously this car does not have, being in 92. I was actually thinking, you know, this is a 3rd gen Camry, so I think I'm going to start calling this Project 3G. You know, in my head, I think it'd be fun to make it a wide body. You know, at some point in time, you don't see them, and just something fun to do, different to do. Of course, next goals on this are to get the body work done on it. There's some wheel well rust on both sides, and then one of the rockers under the back left door is rotted out. At least get the rust stopped before winter. Pretty sure I've said it, I actually bought this car to just flip and make a couple bucks off of, but it's actually really good driving vehicle. I've put a few hundred miles on it and been happy so far. They've got, back on topic of the radio, these Toyotas, the left bracket is like an inch deeper than the right bracket. Makes it very difficult to get the screws when you're putting in and taking off. The thing about this older car, there is tons of room back behind there. So the whole harness, you know, left it long, stuck it in there. It started to rain about halfway through this, so I actually shut the door and turned the radio on. Or turn the radio on, turn the AC on. That was pretty nice. I got that up and going this morning. Had a video posted on that about changing the expansion valve on this. It was a severe pain in the butt, but only took, you know, 5-6 hours, whatever it was. It's nice to be riding cool again. Going to get a present here. One of the main reasons I chose this stereo over the other ones. Boom, Aaron Tippman CD. Kiss This. What was that? 2001, I think, is when that CD came out. I don't even know if they had touchscreen radios back then, but testing through here, it does play CDs fine. You know, testing some of the options, everything works good on it. All in all, a clean little install.